Ever wondered why the US doesn't simply count all the votes cast to choose a president, but instead uses the Electoral College? This wasn't just something that was slipped in because it sounded like a novel idea at the time. Not at all. The framers who wrote the Constitution purposefully designed it this way. The Electoral College is the compromise solution to a major dispute during the drafting of the Constitution, but also the cause of many disputes today. Let's learn more about it. But first, let's talk about some numbers. The census is where the government counts how many people live in each state. Based on this count, each state gets one representative for about every 700,000 people in the state. However, every state, no matter how big or small, only gets 2 senators. The number of Electoral College votes that a state gets is the sum of its senators and representatives. Now that we've got the basics down, let's explore how the United States bicameral system began and why the Electoral College was made. Let's travel back to 1787, to Philadelphia's Independence Hall, where the Constitution was being drafted. The framers of the Constitution were very forward-looking. They knew there would be many challenges to what they'd put into this document and held vigorous debate to address them, and also carefully selected specific verbiage to address the unforeseeable challenges that may come. They also had great reservations about a pure democracy that blindly ran strictly by the numbers. They had seen how larger populations could force their will onto smaller ones, and wanted to create a system that would deter this very situation. A system that would listen to both the big and small states. There was lots of heated exchange during discussions between the representatives of the higher populated states that wanted more say in choosing the president, and the representatives of the smaller states that feared their opinions would be overlooked. The prevailing question was, how could they make it inclusive for everyone? The answer: the Connecticut Compromise, also known as the Great Compromise. The Great Compromise is the origin of our two-house system, in which every state gets 2 senators. This helps to balance the power of big states in matters they'd assign to the Senate. They also agreed that states with more people should have a heavier voice, so the number of congressional representatives each state received in the House of Representatives was made contingent on the number of people living in each state. This system of counterbalance was directly influential in their decision as to the method by which to select the president, the Electoral College. In the Electoral College, each state is given a number of votes equal to the sum of its representatives and senators. After all, if the line of thinking that resulted in fair numbers for states' congressional representation was indeed fair, then combining those numbers should also be fair when selecting the president. This way, every state, big or small, has a proportional say in the presidential election. Here's what we should take from this. The Electoral College was born out of a need for balance and fairness among the states. If you didn't just absorb that statement, it's worthy of repeating. The aim of the Electoral College is to guarantee fair voice to the states, not the people. Let's look at how it achieves this. But first, there's something that should be noted. The District of Columbia, which is not a state, is treated like a state in over 500 federal laws. This is one of the situations in which DC shares some state power. The District of Columbia also gets 3 electors, even though it does not have congressional representation. Now, when you vote in the presidential election, it's not as simple as you might think. You're not voting directly for the candidate you've cast your vote for. Instead, you're voting for the state-appointed electors, who have promised to vote for that candidate. Most states use a winner-takes-all approach to assigning electors, meaning the candidate with the most votes gets all the electors for that state. That's why candidates focus heavily on swing states which have a history of voting for either party. Winning these states can mean winning the presidency. So in a nutshell, the Electoral College is a system that tries to balance power among the states in a presidential race. Once again, not the people, but the states. Even though some people don't agree with it, especially when it goes against the popular vote, the system is all about making sure each state gets a fair say. It's been changed a little over its 200+ years, but its main idea is still the same. So here in summation, just like most things in politics, the Electoral College has those who like it and those who don't, especially because it helps out the states with fewer people. It makes sure that their voices are not drowned out by the areas with large populations. The framers knew that the prevailing ideas and opinions in one area might be completely out of touch with those in another, and that the beliefs popular in large areas shouldn't be the only determining factor when setting policy for the entire nation. And because the Electoral College gives a small boost to less populated states, in a closely contested election, a person can become president without winning the popular vote, as victories in each area can weigh heavier than the total count of individual votes. So, the next time there's a vote for the president, remember what the Electoral College is and why it exists, and think about its role in shaping our democracy. Thanks for watching. If you like our content, please subscribe, as new content is always being added.